Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and now it's time for another edition of Tales from the Underhive. This is Tales from the Underhive, Battle Report number 32. This is a pit fight scenario that is fought between my buddies Lady Domino for Killjoys of House Escher versus my other friend Sergeant Sigmar, the Sleeping Dogs of House Delaque. So last time we looked at the series of battle reports, we're starting to do our pit fight scenarios where each of the gangs are kind of going at it one at a time inside of a 2-foot by 2-foot arena, and we're basically seeing which one of these gangs kind of reign supreme in each of these matchups. So we're going to be really excited to see how this one goes. Both of these gangs have really opposite fighting abilities. Killjoys are more up close and personal and close combat, while the Sleeping Dogs are more like sneaking around and shooting. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play some background music, run through the rosters real quick of both gangs. If you want to see exactly what each gang is bringing to the fight, feel free to pause and take a look at your own leisure. Alright, let's get this on. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that takes directly to the top of the scenario. As you can see here, we're fighting on a 2-foot by 2-foot table on this one because it's kind of a pit side scenario. It's exactly the same battlegrounds that the last previous members of the pit fight scenario also fought in as well, with the people eaters. The reason why that is the case is so that way the arena kind of stays the same, and that way both sides are fighting it out. In this scenario, it's pretty straightforward. Both gangs will deploy in a 4-foot by 4-inch by 8-inch deployment area right in the middle of the opposing sides. All their gang members have to fit inside of that one, and basically they fight to the death. There's no bottling out. You basically have to put every single person out of action in order to win the battle report. On this one, it was kind of interesting because they kind of rolled for leader fights, so the leaders of both gangs have to participate in this fight when they roll off the scenario, and they also get, I believe, D3 plus 1, I believe is how it works, D3 plus 1 gang members to help them out as well. So that's pretty much how the scenario rules work on this one. Let's go exactly to deployment. Alright, so with the scenario rules over, let's go directly to deployment. As you can see, the Killjoys have deployed on the near side of the table, while my friend Sergeant Sigmar has set up his Sleeping Dogs on the far side of the table as well. Because this is a leader fight, what ends up happening is that the leaders of both gangs, Mr. Sinister for the Sleeping Dogs and Furia for the Killjoys, they have to deploy right in the middle of the table exactly 4 inches from each other, and then the rest of the gang members deploy in their usual deployment zones right in the center. So because of that, these two gang members will fight out in close combat, and the rest of the gangs will kind of bust in there to try to support the leader as best they can. So on the Killjoy side, starting from the left-hand side there, you got Mad Donna. She's armed with a grenade launcher, followed by Yoko the Pyro on the right-hand side. Right between the middle of them is Lucky Lucy, as well as Nocturna. And on the far side of the deployment area there, you got Miss Spectre with her last gun. She's also got rapid fire ability. Right next to her is Napalm Noob. That guy is the Jew who learned specialist skills, so he's packing a flamer from this point on. And then right next to him is Mr. Smug. That guy's packing a bolt gun. And of course, Mr. Sinister and Furia are right in the middle of the tables where they're supposed to be. Alright, so both gangs roll up for initiative, and the Sleeping Dogs take turn number 1, and this photo is taken directly after the movement phase. As you can see in this photo, Mr. Smug wastes no time whatsoever, so Sergeant Sigma sends his leader charging directly into Furia, the leader of the Killjoys, so that way those who now engage in close combat. And also you can see in the background, right behind him, the rest of the members of the Sleeping Dogs also move up forward as well. You got Miss Spectre taking a covering position on the left-hand side behind that wall of debris with the barbed wire on top, and then right next to her on the right-hand side is Napalm Noob getting within range and fire off his flamer at the rest of the Killjoys are directly right across from him. And of course on the right hand side there you got Mr. Smug with his bolt gun, also taking covering position, covering the right hand side of the army of the gang, so that way she can take on Lucky Lucy as well as Nocturna. So that pretty much makes it the move phase for the for the Sleeping Dogs rather, in this first turn. In the shooting phase, a Napalm Noob opens up with his flamer, bypassing the combat between Furia as well as Mr. Smug, and lands his shot for his flamer perfectly on Yoko the Pyro, who's the flamer wielding heavy for the Killjoys. Managed to get that template locked in right on top of that as well. At the same time, Sergeant Sigma opens up with Miss Spectre. Unfortunately for him though, Miss Spectre does miss both of her shots, so she doesn't secure any shots. However, Mr. Smug is pretty lucky enough to land one of his shots against one of the rifle members of the Killjoys. And after the casualties, you can see that Yoko the Pyro, she is down right now. Luckily for Lady Domina, she did not catch on fire, so because that Yoko the Pyro is down for the count. At the same time, Nocturna is also put down as well by Mr. Smug, netting both those gang members 5 experience points for the shooting phase. So with the shooting phase over, we go directly to the close combat phase. Both leaders roll off on their combat results, and at the end of all is said and done, as you can see, Mr. Smug comes off with a score of 10. Well, Furia actually lands up with a score of 7 as well, resulting in 3 hits landing against her, caused by Mr. Smug as well, which is pretty devastating because Mr. Smug is packing twin last pistols, also have hotshot power packs, so that could be very, very devastating for Furia at the same time. In the end, Mr. Smug does manage to inflict all 3 of his wounds onto Furia, so you see there she's also packing 3 wounds now. Unfortunately for her, that does put her out of action, and so she goes down and out of action at the same time. And she goes out of action, and Mr. Smug falls up with another 2 inches for it as well, which could prove very bad for the Killjoys, because if they don't recover her 2 members, Yoko the Pyro as well as Nocturna, if they don't recover by her next recovery phase, and Mr. Smug charges into any one of those, that will actually those individuals will go directly out of action through the close combat phase as well. Not to mention, forgot to mention that Mr. Sinister also netted himself 15 experience points for 53 wounds onto Furia. So a very, very eventful turn number 1 for the Sleeping Dogs. With that being said, we go directly to bottom turn number 1 for the Killjoys. Alright, so that takes us to the bottom turn number 1 for the Killjoys, and this picture is taken directly after the move phase. As you can see, Lucky Lucy spends no time whatsoever and charges forward directly towards Mr. Sinister, engage him in close combat, so that way he can't charge into any of the down members of the Killjoys at the same time. Lady Domina also kind of moves Mad Donna about 4 inches over to the left hand side to get kind of an indirect fire away from the rest of the Sleeping Dogs, so she can open up with her grenade launcher. And at the same time, she moves both Nocturna as well as Yoko the Pyro back 2 more inches because they are down, so she's trying to get them out of the field of fire, at the same time get them out of range for close combat hits as well. So that pretty much makes it the move phase for the Killjoys in this round. During the shooting phase, there's pretty much no shooting going on. Mad Donna, as you can see, that green template there on the left-hand side, she aims with her grenade launcher and misses, so the grenade frag grenade goes off harmlessly off to the left-hand side. So we go directly to the combat phase. As you can see, Mr. Smug has a combat score of 9, while Lucky Lucy has a combat score of 7, which nets a difference of 1 score on that part as well. So Lucky Lucy got very, very lucky, as her name implies, and actually managed to dodge that hit. And so because of the combat as a stalemate, so Lucky Lucy and Mr. Sinister will have to engage one another in close combat yet again. So the combat phase over, we go directly to the recovery phase. And unfortunately for Lady Domina, for Nocturna, she rolled a 6 in the recovery phase, so Nocturna does go out of action. She will have to roll off on the serious injury tables after the scenario is completed. As for Yoko the Pyro, she rolled a 3, so Yoko's still down, and she's still bleeding out, unable to do anything except for crawl around for 2 inches. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Sleeping Dogs. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 2 for the Sleeping Dogs. This photo is taken after the move phase, and as you can see, the Sleeping Dogs are starting to smell blood on the wind, so now they're just charging forward as quick as they possibly can. On the left hand side, Miss Spectre as well as Napalm Noob take up fighting positions right there at the end of the debris wall with the razor wire, getting ready to set their sights onto Mad Donna, manage to take her out as well. At the same time, Mr. Smug also charges in to Lucky Lucy to give some support to Mr. Sinister, so that way those two can fight out in close combat and get this combat over with. And that pretty much makes the move phase for the Sleeping Dogs. During the shooting phase, Napalm Noob also takes aim with his flamer and opens up on Mad Donna, manages to inflict the wound, and also manages to put her down out of the count right now. So as you can see, she rolled a 4 for the recovery, for the results for the injury for Mad Donna. So now all she can do is lay down and bleed for the next turn and also crawl away for 2 inches also. So because the nearest target is now down, that kind of frees up Miss Spectre to do some shooting of her own, which Miss Spectre takes full advantage of. She opens up twice onto Yoko the Pyro, trying to take her out of action by shooting at her multiple times. Managed to inflict 2 wounds on that as well, netting herself 10 experience points in the process of doing so. At the same time though, when they roll for the injuries though, 2 threes are rolled up on that part, so because that Yoko the Pyro is still bleeding, which is very, very bad for the Killjoys, because of these 2 gang members being down, if the sleeping dogs manage to charge into these individuals, they will automatically go out of action for the combat phase. So very successful round of shooting for the sleeping dogs. Things are not looking very good for the Killjoys at this point. And also, to make matters worse, during the combat phase, Mr. Sinister gets a combat result score of 9 versus Lucky Lucy's combat score of 3, letting her a difference of 3 hits at strength 4 with Mr. Sinister's twin last pistols armed with hotshot power packs. Unfortunately for Lucky Lucy, both of those wounds automatically wound as well, so because that Lucky Lucy goes directly out of action, she'll have to roll up on the serious injury tables, and then both Mr. Smug as well as Mr. Sinister kind of fall through 2 more inches as well. So as you can see, the only members of the gang the Killjoys left behind are both Yoko the Pyro as well as Mad Donna, and both of those characters are down right now, so they're very, very exposed to any charge that might be done for the post-combat. So unless Lady Donna can pull off a quick recovery for these 2, things are going to go very, very badly for the Killjoys. So that takes us to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Killjoys. This photo is taken directly after the move phase, and the only thing that Lady Donna can do is shuffle back Mad Donna as well as Yoko the Pyro 2 more inches and try to get as far away as they possibly can from the sleeping dogs before they charge into the next move. And since both these characters are down, there is no shooting and there is no close combat, so we go directly to recovery phase. And luckily for Mad Donna, she does manage to get it back on her feet again with a flesh wound, so now she's -1 to her weapon skill as well as her ballistic skill. Yoko the Pyro does manage to get off a flesh wound herself as well, so if she does recover, she does get a -1 to her weapon skill and ballistic skill. However, on her second injury die that was caused by Miss Spectre, she rolled a 4, so because that Yoko the Pyro is still down and out of the count as well. That pretty much makes it a pretty uneventful turn for the Killjoys for turn number 2. So that takes the top of turn number 3 for the sleeping dogs. This photo is taken after the move phase. As you can see in this photo, Mr. Smug charges directly into Yoko the Pyro. So during the combat phase, Yoko the Pyro will automatically go out of action. She will have to roll up on the serious injuries table to see exactly what happens to her. At the same time, Miss Spectre, Napalm Noob, as well as Mr. Sinister charged into Mad Donna, the grenade launching carrying heavy, and engage her in close combat as well. So right now, I think we're about to witness the final killing blow for the Killjoys in this round, which takes us directly to the combat phase because all members of the gang are now engaged in close combat. As you can see in this photo, Yoko the Pyro, she has a combat score of 11 versus Napalm Noob's score of 9, so because of that, she actually gets the edge in close combat in this fight, which nets Mad Donna 2 wounds onto Napalm Noob, so because of that he goes directly out of action, he will have to roll up on the serious injury table to see exactly what happens to him. At the same time, netting 10 experience points from Mad Donna for that awesome killing blow thing. This guy, imagine her just kind of going berserker style, just taking on everyone in close combat, which is actually kind of cool. And close combat between Mad Donna as well as Miss Spectre ended up being a push actually, which actually really helped up the Killjoys in that part as well. Miss Spectre actually rolled up a 10 score, same thing with Mad Donna. Even with being outnumbered, Mad Donna was just rolling out the box for Lady Domina at that point, so because of that, combat is a push between those 2 characters. However, in the end, fate, just because it wasn't with the Killjoys, this fact, the fight between Mad Donna as well as Mrs. Sinister went very, very poorly for Lady Domina. What's her name? Mad Donna rolled a combat score of 7 versus Mr. Sinister's combat score of 10. So because of that, that is a 3-point difference as well as 3 hits landed onto Mad Donna. Unfortunately for Lady Domina, Mr. Sinister managed to get off 2 more hits onto Mad Donna as well, managed to kill her and put her out of action as well. So things are definitely not good for the Killjoys at this point. And for a finish off move, Mr. Smug also puts the coup de grace down onto Yoko the Pyro as well, puts her out of action, so she'll need to roll up on the serious injury table chart as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes directly to the end of the game. As you can see, the only members of the gang still left over onto the combat in this little pit fight is the sleeping dogs. They got 3 members of their gangs left over. Napalm Noob, unfortunately for him, went out of action for that one, so he held the roll off on the serious injury table, but the rest of the Killjoys are done. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we go directly to the post game because this battle report is now officially over. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the post-game. Let's talk exactly what happened to all the members of the gangs. First of all, we saw for the Killjoys. First of all, Furia, she suffered chest wounds because she has -1 to her toughness, while Mad Donna, Yoko the Pyro, Lucky Lucy, as well as Nocturna made full recoveries, so they kind of lucked out that way as well. For advancements, Mad Donna got +1 to her strength, as well as did Lucky Lucy, and Nocturna got +1 to her ballistic skill. For the territories, the Killjoys actually worked their territories, collected 125 credits in profit, and 125 credits, managed to keep 45 in profit. For the merchant, they placed all 45 credits into the stash. Their new record now is at 3 wins as well as 4 losses, and their new gang rating now is at 2,440 points. Alright, for the sleeping dogs, for injuries, Napalm Ned actually made a full recovery, so nothing went down there. For advancements, Mr. Sinister actually leveled up twice, got +1 to his strength as well as to his weapon skill. Mr. Smug got +1 to his initiative, Miss Spectre earned +1 to her weapon skill, and Napalm Ned earned +1 to his toughness. So now, he also changed his name now that he's tougher now. He's no longer Napalm Noob, he is now Napalm Ned now. The sleeping dogs worked their territories, earned a 235 credits, and with a net profit of 85 credits for profit. They went to the merchant and they bought 5 last pistols, 1 for Mr. Smug, 1 for Silk, 1 for Slick, 1 for Wesley, as well as 1 for Miss Spectre as well. They placed the remaining tankers they had left over in their stash. The new gang rating now is at 4 wins as well as 2 losses, and their new rating is at 2,655 points. That's pretty much going to do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. That's Tales from the Underhive Battle Report number 32 into the books. As always, you guys, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Your guys' input is always invaluable to us here at Commander CheapSkate. And at the same time, please feel free to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Google Plus for all the latest and greatest what we're doing for our hobby, and that way you can see exactly what's being painted up. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we alternate every Thursday between this series of battle reports, Tales in the Underhive, with our Warhammer Fantasy Battle 8th Edition battle reports, which is Warhammer the Golden Age, and on Sundays we alternate between 9th Age battle reports, which is our 9th Saga series, as well as Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which is our Age of the Realm series. That's good to do for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. We will see you on the flip side.